Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Thursday, the 3rd of March. I'm Derek Clark. I'm joined this morning by, firstly, Joshua Barrie. How are we doing, Joshua?
Yeah, all good. Thanks, Derek. Back from Perth safely.
Yeah, good stuff. That's what we like it. And Jonny McFarlane as well. How's it going, Johnny?
Yeah, good late night last night, but back in at it this morning. Bright and breezy.
Yeah, good stuff. Before we continue, folks, if you're watching us on YouTube, if you haven't already done so, if you hit the subscribe button, it means you'll never miss a video when we go live. And remember, we've still got that great offer on the website just now. Just £1 for 2 months worth of content. It's a great deal. Just head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe to check it out. Okay, folks, let's look back on last night's performance and result. Rangers getting a 1-0 victory over St Johnstone. It really was, as Giovanni Van Bronckhorst said, 3 points in the bag and down the road. Joshua, you were there for us. Glenn Kamara's goal in the 3rd minute was all that separated the sides. And what was one of the, I'm trying to be kind here, the worst performances I think I've ever seen. What was it like there in person watching it?
Probably even worse. The pitch, St Johnstone didn't really have any chances, but the pitch always made a mistake, a slip, a factor. You could see that from the warm-up. I thought the players battled well, they did well. And Rangers just really never had control of the game, and I guess it depends how lenient you want to be about the pitch. The baubles were significant. It was hard to play football on. Equally, I thought Rangers never really had control, even without the ball. I thought they were kind of too easy to play through, and on a number of times St Johnstone got into the final third, just didn't have the creative players to make anything of it. The subs was just one of the strangest decisions I've seen all season, because you could clearly see, and I'm sure it carried through in the TV as well, that elements of that team were knackered, absolutely knackered. Why Sakala didn't come on to relieve pressure. James Sands, who was signed, whether he was Van Bronckhorst signing, he was signed under Van Bronckhorst when he got to the club. Why he couldn't come on and relieve a bit of pressure in the middle of the pitch kind of was very confusing. And Rangers got through, but if they'd conceded in 87th minute, you can guarantee that would have definitely been a mistake that was highlighted. So 3 points and down the road, very much the narrative, but a little bit concerned at the fatigue within that squad, given the amount of minutes they've played recently.
Yeah, Johnny, of course, Rangers got off to the perfect start. Fantastic goal. Alfredo Morelos with a sublime touch into the path of Glenn Kamara, and he doesn't score many goals. That's his 3rd of the season. Great to see him, great finish, and great to see him on the score sheet as well. But from then on, you're thinking, okay, Rangers go and build from that and put the game beyond any doubt. But it was a case of same old with regards to just trying to carve opportunities and just not being clinical enough in front of goal, really.
I think the big problem last night, and Josh will be able to talk about this better than me, but I just felt that we just ceded control of the midfield. Kamara and Lundstrom don't have a lot of chemistry for me in there. It's not like Jack and Lundstrom, where immediately they look like they're going to take a control of a game. I don't know if those two are both ideal partners for a dominant colleague, and together they don't have the sort of personality or the right mix of personality to make it work. Whatever it was, they basically allowed St Johnstone for periods of that game to control the match. And while defensively, Rangers' structure wasn't allowing many chances, it was quite worrying to watch such an expensively assembled team of top quality talent, guys that can go out and beat Dortmund, basically allow a St Johnstone side that are 11th in the table and have scored only 18 goals to come at them and make a dent. It was concerning. I've not really been one of these guys that's been too worried about the away form from the point of view of Giovanni Van Bronckhorst asking the team to sit back and counter-attack. I haven't been too worried about that. However, I'm starting to see it now. And last night was another example. And Gio says, that's not what I'm asking them to do. Well, it's what's happening. There's no doubt about it now. It's too many times for it to just be game state issues. This is a serious problem of sitting back once they get in the lead. And they're just not good enough to do that defensively. In Scottish football, as we're talking about with pitches, with long balls, with second balls, there's always a likelihood of a team getting the bounce of a ball and a bit of luck. And I think that game last night was just a bounce of a ball from being a disaster. So I think Giovanni Van Bronckhorst will want to go back to the drawing board and ask himself what he's doing wrong, what he needs to change, because more performances like that and this league title is kaput.
Yeah.
The players look knackered, Derek. I'm sure you're going to ask about that.
Yeah. But it's interesting because when Van Bronckhorst was appointed, Joshua, I spoke to a Feyenoord fan, and he told me when they won the league, he trusted 12 to 13 players that basically done the job for him. This looks very similar at Rangers, where he just trusts a selected group of players, and that's it. We've seen it only one sub in the last 2 games, and even when Kemar Roof came on Sunday, it was a late substitution as well. Are you worried by this? I think a lot of supporters, especially on social media last night, were calling for substitutions at half-time. And then the longer the game went on, I mean, I know you tweeted out something that was a bit bizarre not to see anyone come on based on the fact that the pitch was heavy, the players looked knackered, and Rangers were, I wouldn't say under the cosh, but like Johnny says, one slip away from losing a goal. What did you make of the lack of subs last night?
Yeah, I agree with Johnny, and you don't want to be sensationalist about it, but I cannot remember seeing a team that tired during that second half. There was one period where 3 St Johnstone players, probably about 60 minutes in, where 3 against 4 Rangers players exchanged about 3 or 4 passes the bottom left of the pitch. And it was Arfield was there, Aribo was there, Tavernier was there, and I can't remember the last, maybe Kamara or Lundstrom. 4 players who you'd normally trust to win the ball back in that situation, and they just got the ball passed around them. And as you say, there's been a lot of football recently. That team hasn't really changed. And you look at someone like Morelos, who's played, 5 90 minutes in the last 14 days, going back to the 4-2 win away in Dortmund. Could Kemar Roof, is Kemar Roof not trusted to come on for 15 minutes in place of a Morelos that's played that much football? Do you know what I mean? That's the confusing thing for me as well. Sands, who was put in at Aberdeen away in the first game of the season, while Lundstrom seems to be bottom of the pecking order, and now isn't getting on the pitch. And you can understand that the manager's still working out squads, but to what effect? As Johnny says, it was even in the last minute last night, or last 2 minutes, St Johnstone got that ball down the side, and they were so close to creating a chance. And although they didn't, and although Rangers defended well, I think they're still kind of, as Johnny says, caught in that in between. They're not compact and staying compact, showing the ball away, and really, you think back to the 2-1 win against St Mirren earlier in the season away from home. Rangers conceded no chances in that second half, but they defended high at the pitch. They kept the ball away from their goal. And what I don't think Rangers have done when they've sat off under Van Bronckhorst enough is keep the ball away from their goal, because then you get situations like Ross County where you have stupid mistakes, but you've surrendered control of your half. And I think they're still caught in that in between. Van Bronckhorst wants to play this 4-3-3. It's clear. He went back to it the last couple of games, and it can work really well in moments. But then at times, Rangers struggle to get the ball from back to front. So again, 3 points is what mattered, and they've not had enough of those recently. They've had games where they have played well, like Dundee United away, but this wasn't a good St Johnstone side. I don't think it's a game you can take all that much encouragement from, apart from good fighting spirit to get the job done when the players were evidently really tired.
Yeah, Johnny, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst was quizzed about the lack of subs on Sky last night. He said that he didn't feel that he needed to look to his bench, and he was sort of trusted the players to carry out the job. But he did say in his pre-match press conference that rotation will be important with the games coming up, and there was none really in the game. It's sort of, you're left scratching your head somewhat, aren't you?
Yeah, listen, I think we've got to say, to caveat all this criticism, that there are 5 players out injured at the moment who I think would have been involved. If you're thinking about Stephen Davis, although to be fair, he hasn't exactly been flavour of the month under Giovanni Van Bronckhorst so far. But you add Aaron Ramsey into the mix, Ryan Jack, Philip Helander. You're looking at a fair few players there who are out. Ahmed Diallo, who would have almost certainly been in the squad, and Diallo, for example, I think would have come on last night. Towards the end, given how fatigued Scott Arfield looked, you would certainly have to think so. Perhaps it's just that Gio has got to a stage with some of those players. He's given them opportunities, and they haven't delivered. Scott Wright probably being an example of that. So I think what we're seeing is evidence of a manager who has maybe got to the end with a few players he's selected. The fact that he's not using them. Someone like Ryan Kmart, for example. We've discussed it on here before, but you just think to yourself, I know Alfredo Morelos is 25 years old and probably doesn't need too much downtime, but still, you'd think you'd want to keep Roof sharp in case you need him. Give him 20 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and keep him involved in things. But he's just not really been selected, has he? I mean, no, Kmart Roof can offer you something different. He can certainly give you goals. And I think Fashion Sakala's been underused. I keep saying it. I know I've been on here saying that I'm not convinced by Fashion Sakala. I'm not. But similarly, he delivers goals and assists whenever he plays. And yes, he's raw, and yes, he makes mistakes. But I think if you've got a knackered Scott Arfield or Fashion Sakala, I know which one I'd probably rather have at the moment. I'd rather put in Sakala in a game like last night and then have Scott Arfield really fresh for a game on Saturday against Aberdeen. That's going to be a difficult one because they're desperately trying to get points under the belts.
Yeah, Joshua, the point on Scott Arfield, I think everyone was surprised to see him start last night, and he played the whole game. Now, he's a great player and all, but at 33 years of age, he looks jaded and he looks in need of a rest. But I can't see him being rested on Saturday. I think he's one of the players that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst trusts. I'm not too sure. Does he rest him come Saturday? Can you see him dropping out, or he's going to go to the well again?
I think there's two things. Firstly, I agree with Johnny on Scott Wright, who seems to be down the pecking order. But what is Scott Wright good at? What has he made his short Rangers career on? The kind of small moments of reputation that he's built has been on coming off the bench and adding energy to a performance. You've got Alish Kurt this season, good example. Runs into space well. You know what he's going to give you, even if his end product isn't great. That's another example of a player that could have come on last night. Scott Arfield averages possession-adjusted pressures 20 a game. Last night he made 7. One of his big benefits is what he brings off the ball. That was the lowest number of pressures made in the team. That's not criticism at all of Scott Arfield. I think you need to give Scott Arfield a lot of credit for the fact that, 33 years old, he's playing this much football and putting in as much effort as he can. But I don't think the effect of what Van Bronckhorst was trying to get out of him last night worked, because he was isolated a lot on the right touchline and wasn't really able to get on the ball. But then, how much can you see it changing come the weekend? Johnny mentioned those 5 players that are out. Are any of them going to be ready to start? Can you really see Hollander after his injuries this season? Can you see him putting together a run of games? What then happens with Leon Balogun, who can't play 2 games in a week, and also I thought looked pretty tired last night. Ryan Jack in the middle of the pitch, we don't really know the situation with him. Hopefully it's not serious. Stephen Davis hasn't played regularly since the start of the season. Ahmad Diallo and Ramsey haven't played regularly yet. So it does look like this is the kind of core 12 or 11 players, if you will. Joe Rebo, I still think looks tired, having not had a rest because he was at AFCON with Nigeria. So definitely one for I think to ask the manager about, to look with more detail, because Rangers will drop points if they look that tired in every game. That's absolutely undoubted. And I think it's the remnants of high energy performances against Hearts, Hibs, 2 games against Borussia Dortmund, away trip to Dundee United, and another game which I've missed. And you can tell that those players have played all those minutes, because it was really evident in that second half.
Yeah. Let's move on then, Johnny. Of course, the fans are making their feelings clear, what they make of Rangers taking part in the Sydney Super Cup in November. Of course, it was confirmed after you boys done the morning briefing yesterday. James Bisgrove gave an interview to the Rangers TV. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst also made a statement on the club's social media channels. James Bisgrove basically saying that for 8 days over there, taking part in 2 friendly games, it'll benefit the club to the same level as an entire season in the SPFL. It's clearly a business decision to bring money into the club, but it's fair to say the supporters are unanimously all pretty much agreed that this is the wrong move. What did you make of James Bisgrove's interview yesterday? His reasons for taking part in the tournament, and can you understand the anger and the frustrations amongst the Rangers supporters?
Yeah, I can understand the anger and frustrations. Obviously, I can also understand the club's point of view, which is that they are going to try and make as much money as possible. What I would say is, though, that's James Bisgrove's job. So he's just doing his job. It's not his job to really understand the nuances of the Glasgow divide and how that pans out. It's up to someone above him to sort of understand that there's sensitivities around stuff like this, and Rangers is made up of supporters, and that's why they've sunk so much money into the club, that board. That's why they've gone well above and beyond in terms of supporting the club over the last few years, and certainly prizing it away from the clutches of some individuals that certainly did not carry the name of Rangers with the honour that you would attribute someone that was in an ownership position. So it's totally understandable why fans are upset. There's various arguments going around. I think the one that chimes with me most is about the USP of what we have here in Scotland, about authenticity and about it not being like that tin pot league down south, where they're just doing anything for commercial gain. This is a derby that is absolutely of Scotland and for Scotland, and having it elsewhere is just not the same. Especially when you factor in the fact there's going to be numerous players missing. What actually remains? If all the best players at the World Cup. So fundamentally, guys, what I would just say is, you upset your customer base at your peril, and Rangers have upset their customer base. And I hate using the word customer for fans, but
yeah,
it's much more complex than that. But fundamentally, Rangers are a business that survives on the back of those people going in and buying stuff. And if this is extremely damaging to the club and causes people to disengage, then that's a real problem. I don't think it's going to die down anytime soon. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out over the weeks and months ahead. But I think you saw last night, Joshua captured a video of how vociferous and loud the fans were and making their feelings clear on this friendly. And it seems to me that even your ordinary fan who's not going mad about every single thing on Twitter, quite a lot of those guys are deeply upset by this. And I think if those people are getting are concerned, then that's a bellwether that tells you that there may be a problem.
Yeah, one such as Jan Seafar, who gets in touch with an abhorrent decision from the board, totally out of touch with the fans. I cancelled my Jers and Legends order today. So it's these sort of fans, Joshua, that are upset with this decision. What was it like in terms of atmosphere at the game last night, in terms of the fans? And they certainly made their feelings clear towards the board, didn't they?
Yeah, it was actually quite muted before the game, and I think that was probably deliberate and a result of a lot of drop points. And then as the singing that Johnny mentions that I put on my Twitter page, where we kind of rung throughout the game, aimed at the board. And I think from all three stands or two and a bit stands, the message was really clear that I was interested to see how it translated from social media into the stands, and yeah, it certainly did. So very, very similar to what I think everyone's reading online and hearing from their friends, that people are just frustrated about it and angry about it. And as Johnny says, I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Okie dokie, I think that'll do us there, folks. Thanks very much for all the interaction, as ever. It is very much appreciated. Remember, if you've not taken advantage of the website, we've got a great offer on just now, just £1 for 2 months worth of content. Just head over to rangersreview.co.uk youtube.com/subscribe. And if you're watching this in YouTube, if you haven't already done so, just hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss a video when we go live. Okay, we'll be back tomorrow morning to look ahead to Saturday's game against Aberdeen. But until then, enjoy the rest of your